Let the dragon consume you! Enemy sighted. Stop the pedo! Stop the pedo! In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Birdwatcher's back at it one more time. Here's your host, Ryan and Clay. They're about to bring you some sweet Overwatch action.
All right, bringing you back for episode 12. We are in the final week of stage 3. That means the playoffs on the horizon.
Exciting stuff, man.
Yeah.
So exciting that I didn't play at all this week.
None. Yeah. Well, hey, I did enough playing for the both of us. It was miserable.
Yeah.
Just a lot of losses, a lot of throwing. Not on my end, I promise.
Yeah. Hey, you always give 110%, man.
Well, yeah. it's easy when
too
you
much credit.
Yeah. I'm a 90% guy, but I'm there for the 90%. So. But yeah, so we had some new stuff come out on the servers. Patch came out, and competitive got a little bit of a shakeup too, with Brigida hitting competitive live. So some changes there. I think they're positive changes. A lot of people are on the other, the other
spectrum.
Yeah. So they not a big fan. She's shaking it up a little bit. Not as much dive. But we got some changes to Hanzo as well, which kind of shook up some stuff. I'm just going to run down, as far as news, his stuff that changed live on the servers was on the PTR for a couple weeks. He did get a new ability in the Storm Shot Arrow, which is pretty sweet. They got rid of Scatter, which I know a lot of people are happy to hear about.
Yeah.
We'll see if they're still happy in a couple weeks when they get Storm Arrow to the face, which essentially he gets he gets 6 shots. They're channeled. He is able to shoot them kind of whenever he wants, but it's over a certain amount of time. They're at the power of a full pullback on a bow, so a lot of damage coming. He had a cooldown decrease on his Sonic Arrow, which went from 20 to 12, but the duration of the Sonic Arrow and the radius both decreased. 10 seconds to 6 seconds and 10 meters to 7 meters. So a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, but a much shorter cooldown. So he'll be able to see those pesky flankers a little bit more often.
Yeah.
So he also got a lunge ability, kind of gets him away from people. I think it has a 5 to 6 second cooldown. You jump a little bit forward or a little bit backwards, kind of wherever you're aiming. So,
Which makes
pretty
sense.
Cool. Yeah,
which makes sense. I mean, his brother can do it, right? So
yeah. And he he's kind of had a problem, kind of like McCree, where he is if he's ever dove, he's kind of stuck there unless he can climb a wall or kill him
or protect him.
Yeah, he's gonna die. So, Junkrat, his frag launcher decreased a little bit, and his riptire speed decreased a little bit as well. So, some changes there. Lucio had a little bit of a minor buff. His wall ride is not interrupted as much on objects that kind of pushed him off.
So as a Lucio player, as a support main in general, Lucio is one of my upper supports that I play the most.
Yeah.
I don't like. I guess I like that they added the option.
Yeah.
To do it, but it's because his wall ride has been there from the day one. You kind of get used to the movement style.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if I like continuously riding around certain things.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten used to navigating these maps and these different scenarios. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, change. Everybody fears change, but
right. I definitely don't. I mean, I feel like it's not as rewarding, especially for those guys that have practiced that kind of thing. It's definitely not skill rewarding like the old wall riding was.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It definitely feels a lot stickier for sure.
Yeah.
Some other changes. Tracer her pulse bomb was decreased from 400 to 300. Not a big change there. Maybe not going to kill tanks as frequently. So yeah,
people made a big deal out of that one, and that's something that's going to remain to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
but
how that goes.
I don't think. I mean, that's the first time her character's been touched since it's been released, right?
Yeah.
So that's proof to the concept that some characters just grow with the people playing it.
Yeah.
because she's damn near played in every game in Overwatch League, and character hasn't been touched. So,
Yep.
I don't know, but people get changed around, so it's whatever.
Yeah, definitely a high skill cap character, but rewarding at the top. But man, when it's in the hands of someone like SBB or a striker, dude, nuts. So
everything's in turmoil though, so it's definitely gonna take like another week or two for everything to settle, for the dust to settle, and everybody to be comfortable again.
The Brigida Overlord right now, kind of keeping the Tracers at bay. So. You want to hop into some games?
Well, we're talking about for this format, what we're gonna do is, since in our playoff week, we're gonna do the normal week of the 4 feature matches. We cover the honorable mentions, and then we're gonna merge that episode with the playoff episode instead of releasing 2 separate ones. We think it'll be easier for you guys to consume, but we will mention the timestamp in the comments and also in the cast, so you guys can jump to the playoffs if you don't really care about the week before. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with our honorable mentions for Wednesday, and we start off with Philadelphia Fusion versus Dallas Fuel. Fusion take that 3-1, followed by Florida Mayhem versus the Los Angeles Gladiators, and the Gladiators take that one 3-0. Mayhem, they were kind of getting better, and then they stopped.
Yeah, not as much progression as I thought we would see, especially like the Gladiators and Philly. These teams had big progressions, especially in Stage 2. And we thought maybe Florida would be... even Shock had a big progression, and we'll see that in the next game.
Picking up Saya player.
Yeah, we thought there'd be some progression, but maybe there's a little bit of learning curve with the new guys. So we'll see.
We'll keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Next stage. But then we got our feature match, actually, which is my boys doing what they do.
Yeah,
keeping me on the edge of my seat constantly.
They took it to 5.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've been consistently taking it to 5 and just not following through. But I kind of want to go back to the days of Stage 1 where we dominated, man.
It was a quick 2-0 halftime and then a win, right?
Yeah,
that was the Houston Outlaw kind of the motto.
But anyways, let's hop into it. This is a pretty quick one. So we start off with Volskaya, and one thing to note is that we have Architect starting again, which is, at the beginning of this, when I was watching, I was definitely kind of hesitant. I was like, why? I get it now that you have him; it's a big deal. But the way he performed last match and was not impressive by any means. I mean, we covered that, right?
Yeah.
And I know he's a good player. I'm not saying that. It's just that I guess nerves or something, there still wasn't stage ready.
Yeah.
But he put me to shame in this go around. But we'll start with Volskaya.
Killed it.
Yeah. So Volskaya, and here the standout is that Houston usually has like a 50% win rate on this map, and it shows here. And this was a good start. And the time bank is something we always talk about, and it's just everybody understands that. If you have more time, it's usually easier, it's less stressful to do what you have to do, which is get those full caps and close the map out. And that's what happens here. So round 1 on attack, Houston has a full cap, and it's super quick. I think they have like 5 minutes and 45 seconds in their time, which is huge for Volskaya. Especially considering that Volskaya is one of those maps where the meta is just locked, or who's going to be picked, characters are allowed, you kind of know your approach. Everybody has it nailed down. So to be able to score it like that was very impressive. And Linkser was playing out of his mind.
Yeah, killing it, man.
Yeah, from the get-go, he started off really hot. And, it reminds me of one of the players. I talk about Mistakes and how that's one impressive thing I like about Mistakes is that when he starts a game, he just starts off hot. And he keeps that momentum throughout and plays. He doesn't have really any peaks or valleys, right?
Yep.
But yeah, Linkser frags out on defense. They pretty much give San Francisco a hard time. Houston themselves have a huge time bank. And San Francisco, when they finally get a chance to attack, have a hard time on that first point, spend up most of their entire time bank, end up in overtime, and then they're just not able to follow through with the pressure. And then Houston closes it out. Was there anything on that map that stood out to you?
No, I mean, you brought up a good point. Just a lot of resources spent trying to deal with Linkser while he was killing the entire team. So, yeah.
And then you move into Nubani. here's where we get a little bit more of what I was talking about at the beginning, where Architect plays out of his mind. And he looks like a different player, very dangerous. And, we have Muma subbing for Fact Fiction, which is something that's becoming a constant theme with their setup. And then we have Dante come in for Sinatra, actually, because Sinatra was not doing well in that first map. I don't know if that had anything to do with him not being warm or having issues, but they do take him out, so they run Architect and Dante. And what I am noticing is that they don't really sub Architect out, or they're not planning on it. Maybe it's because his pool is so big, which I wasn't aware of until this match.
I think that's a lot of the reason why they brought Dante in, too, where Sinatra is just kind of a tracer player. I guess they value the Dante pool as well.
Yeah,
both the pools on those guys, yeah.
But yeah, here one of the big parts that I was like, okay, Architect's that dude was on defense of point 3. Houston's moving the point, and Architect, like, it's super quiet. It's eerie how quiet it is because it happens so fast. The commentators actually don't commentate it. They're talking about something else, and then you look in the side feed, and there's just 4 deaths, right? And they do a replay, and they show Architect, and he literally just gets 4 headshots. Just kind of, they say he cleans up the fight, but it was a full fight. He just finishes off the kills, but they're all headshots. And it's crazy.
Yeah, switches that McCree at the very end there.
Exactly. They just disappear. Like, the players just disappear. The fight ends, and they try again.
Yeah. That's actually one of the only spots you see McCree a lot get pulled out against fairs and stuff like that, but that backstage where you can, if you're in point 3 and you're trying to defend that spot, you can stand up on that stage and kind of be out of harm's way, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to dive all the way across.
Yeah.
And you see it later on in some other matches, too. People switch to McCree at the last point.
Yeah, that corner is definitely, that bend is definitely your friend there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then, so he does that, and then the follow-up on defense, Nevix has a Devo 4K. And then they're able to hold it right before that point 3. And we always talk about new money. If you're not able to get point 3, you're going to have some trouble because after point 2 is pretty easy to get anything shorter than that. But on attack, they do really well. And Architect shows out here. He switches to Genji, which, I wasn't impressed with earlier. But here he has like a 4K ult. It's pretty straightforward. He takes out both supports. And then during the standstill, they cap. And that's it. Like, it's not really. They don't stop moving the cart from that point forward, and he frags out. I don't have a specific stats though, but it's literally him carrying this map.
I was gonna say he does build that especially that point 1 blade. He builds it within 20-30 seconds, and he
that's crazy.
You just can't. The Raucous is just, you can't have a Zenyatta ult at that point. I mean, he just got the blade so quickly that you're not going to have a trans or anything to back that kind of thing up. And dude, he went to town on him.
Yeah, definitely. And then we move into, so we're 1-1. We move into our control map where, Houston is usually good on Nepal. We have an 80% win rate. And this is also our map of the match, by the way. So how that works is if you can only afford to watch one map of a game, definitely watch this one. This kind of gives you an idea of how the match went. But yeah, so here, one of the weird things about this map was that both teams were trying certain characters in situations that you don't really see, right? So the first round was a great round. It was just on Sanctum. It was pretty much a back and forth brawl. Both teams got to 99, and Houston ends up pulling it out. And then we move into Shrine, where Linkser hops on Widow, which you don't usually see Widow on Shrine. Back in the day,
now we see why.
Yeah. Back in the day, you used to see more Widow because the bell. On Shrine, you used to be able to sit up there, but they curved it out, and no longer can Widow sit up there. So it doesn't really give you that sight line. With that being said, we see her on Sanctum some of the time, which is fine, but not here. And they pay for it because he doesn't end up switching until it's about 60%, and at that point, you're already asking for trouble, and San Francisco closes it out.
Yeah, she's just so easily contested on that map now. Or even her sight lines on the top two, we see the right and the left top two things. They're not very good. You just don't see a lot of the map.
Yeah.
So even if you go that way, you're not getting picks.
Exactly. And then San Francisco does the same thing that Houston did, where they try out Sombra on Village, which is another map that you don't really see Sombra just because of, first of all, where the packs are, and then in addition how it's set up. You don't have the line of sight to get the maximum EMPs. Unless you're directly on point.
Yeah,
right?
too many corners.
Yeah, there's too many corners. There's pillars everywhere, and nobody really fights on that area on the higher ground. So
Right.
there's not really space for that. And they do the same thing where they wait too long to switch, and then Houston takes advantage of that, caps it out, and they take that map.
Yeah, I will say that Rock is insane on the Moira on this map, man. He had a coalescence every single fight.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's one of those ults that you can get so quickly, but it was insane because you're having to fight against a ton of damage, a lot of healing, getting output there. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. Then we move to Route 66, a fan favorite. I mean, people love that map.
Is it the whip or whatever that everybody loves? Or I don't know what it is, but
I don't remember the name for it.
yeah. They bring it up every time.
Yeah, every
I can't
time,
remember.
every
Yeah.
time. But here we get Sinatra coming back in for Dante because this is a great map for Widow. Or not for Widow, my bad. For Tracer, actually. We've seen it all the time, Snilio and all the nonsense, all the antics, especially in that first point. But Houston kind of cruises it through. We have a 50% win rate here, so it's nothing special. It can go either way. But Super's Roadhog, and I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, Super's Roadhog is real good.
Yeah, dude, he applies so much pressure on that Roadhog to Muma and Cool Matt that they usually are able to play very aggressive. But dude, that guy on the front line, and we haven't seen a ton of Roadhog, especially in the first 3 stages.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of people are not quite used to playing against him. Dude, devastating on the Roadhog.
Yeah, especially here because they're not using it in a triple tank ball. They're just using 2 off tanks where it's the Roadhog and the Diva. And Houston does we do pretty well up to point 2. There's no real stall until we cap point 2, and then we're unable to get 3. And most of that time we've had banked gets burned out there, right?
Yep.
And then San Francisco hops on point or hops on cart and never stops moving because Super's Roadhog is just, like you said, oppressive. I think he has a 60% or it's like 62% hook accuracy this whole time. And they don't swap or anything like that. They just they keep it and they run with it. And it's very impressive.
Yeah, because Muma and Coleman are so used to being very aggressive, and when you have that big dude hooking you in, like that's so hard to get kills.
Yeah, constantly they were demeched.
Yep.
And he's making the right calls at the right time, and that was very impressive to see. Even though I'm a Houston fan, So now we get into the problem. We get into I feel like a madman, right?
Yeah, all tied up. Yep.
What's the definition of insanity is when you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
Right.
And it's like I keep ranting
running your
about,
head into the wall. Yeah.
I keep ranting about Oasis and how every time we force a map 5 that we just kind of drop the ball no matter what we do.
You would think you'd be good at this map by now. No.
Exactly. You think we would practice this situation. And I don't have the answer. I thought that, just Cleave Jake on Junkrat was the answer. They tried that. It didn't work. Hey, I'm platinum. Like I'm platinum diamond. But here is just a case where we can't finish games. Architect, so we get Gardens, and Architect plays Pharah, I believe.
Yeah, he plays Pharah initially, and they just don't. I mean, what do you do against? I mean,
they just
have
because
no
we
one on the
don't
hits.
we don't have a inherent solution to him. We have kind of to force it, or just play around it. And if you ignore Pharah, which we'll see later in the week with agilities, when people ignore him on Pharah, they just pay for it. It's free damage. It's a lot of damage. It's a problem. So yeah, they take Gardens with ease because Architects, we have no answer. He just dominates and they just kind of run it out. And then we get to City Center, and that's a case where we have a similar problem where our supports keep getting picked off. And that's just due to, like you said, when Architect's getting these fast ults, Raucus can't build up his counter trans to take care of it. So yeah, we lose. Surprise. And it was one of those cases where in order for us to have the best playoff chance here, we needed a 4-0, which I knew that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, it didn't go the way I thought, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's kind of odd. You bring up map 5. They try this thing on Oasis every time against Pharah where Linkser will switch over to the McCree, and it's oh my god, it's so aggravating to watch because he just he folds to any kind of pressure. So
they can't protect him when he's on McCree.
No, man. He, like you said, just kind of doing the same thing over and over and trying to get different results.
Yeah, we need to be practicing Oasis only for like a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figure that map out. If we're gonna go to map 5, it's always gonna be map 5.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. So San Francisco ends up taking it 3-2.
Yeah, so that brings us into Thursday. Our two matches that are honorable mention matches are San Francisco Shock versus Florida Mayhem. Shock still on a tear from that win against Houston, taking it 4-0 against poor Florida. And then we see Dallas Fuel just battling it out. And when I say battling it out, they lose 4-0 to New York. It's a rough beats story.
Hopefully they'll figure it out.
Yeah, so this is our feature match, Boston Uprising versus the Los Angeles Valiant, is our second 3-2.
Yeah.
Go to 5 again. So we start off at Anubis.
And both these teams are currently a lock for playoffs, I believe.
Yes. At this point, they are a lock.
Okay.
I think Los Angeles needed to... Did Los Angeles play the night before? I don't know. I think Los Angeles needed to win a game in this map.
Yeah.
In this match, yes. Yeah. Because they talk about it in Anubis, starting it off. So, yeah, so we start off on Anubis. Boston start off on offense. And at first, it's just two dive comps just pounding at each other.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy that Mistake almost staying on par with Agilities. Agilities is able to get 2 blades per Mistake's 1, which is kind of crazy. We know Agilities is just this insane Genji player, but Mistake's kind of holding his own. They are able to hold, for the most part. Boston gets it in overtime, I think. But it actually doesn't even matter, right? Because Los Angeles offense, they get point 1 really quick. They dive Calyx. They look really sharp. And then they try to take point 2, and they just can't ever deal with the Junkrat. The spam and the tire, man, he just applies so much pressure. It looks like they're winning these fights pretty consistently at the very beginning. They get 1 or 2 picks, and then the Junkrat comes in, gets 1 or 2 picks, and they just can't do anything. So,
and that's the thing is, Los Angeles doesn't really have a Junkrat player.
Yeah.
Right? So they couldn't do the same thing when they were on defense, which didn't play into their benefit. Whereas, Boston Uprising doesn't have a Genji player, but Mistakes can dabble when he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. We'll see if they make any adjustments to get Agilities or, somebody else some play time or some practice time.
Yeah, moving over to that kind of character. Because we know Agilities plays a kind of a similar role, projectile.
Yeah.
They do the same thing. It's crazy because LA did this great hold on point 2, got into overtime, kind of thought they would at least get a tick or 2, but dude, they didn't even get close, man. Just kind of throwing themselves right into those mines and
one
tires.
One thing to note is that, when they needed a Widow, Soon kind of stepped up and he learned that character. So there's definitely a place where they're all pros, right? Like they can figure it out to add that to their repertoire because they're still a strong team, but you need a junk. For specific maps. But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we do. So Boston wins that one. LA not able to even get the 77%. I think Boston ended up getting 77% or the full take on point 2.
Yeah.
So we go into Blizzard World. Soon comes in for Agilities because as you had mentioned before, Soon is kind of their Widowmaker player or his cam player. There's a lot of long hallways, cool little sight lines on this map.
Genji not great here.
Not great, no, just because you get so far away from your team, you're up on that high ground on point 2, and you're just like, oh shit, dude, I'm kind of out in the open, can't get back to my team. But yeah, so we see Boston started off on offense. They get point 1 and 2 pretty quickly, kind of forces Soon over to the McCree, but Note gets this Diva bomb, and Mistakes. Also, his Sombra play over the last 2 weeks seem insane, man, because he's getting these EMPs that are really high impact. And when I say high impact, he gets these guys at point 3 where they can't even move. Did you see this? Mm-hmm. Where Soon, dude, he is like trying to run away or trying to what looks like a roll away, and he's just like running into that seat.
Yep.
The seat over there, and it gets 4 people, and that kind of ends the map there, which actually didn't even matter. Oh, go ahead.
No, that being said, is that there have been some discussions, not to go too far off on a tangent, about how good Mistakes actually is.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that he's a great part of this team. But the one thing people can all agree on is that his Sombra is nuts. Like his Sombra play is above and beyond.
Yeah.
And was something that Boston didn't have before, which is that Sombra is going to be more important once they go on the new patch as well.
Yeah.
So definitely a plus to see. And their Diva EMP combo is the tightest. They have the tightest combo of everybody, I think.
Absolutely.
It's called is it a Big Bang? Is that what it's called? No.
Or
is it something
yeah,
different?
I mean, it is now for sure.
Oh, I don't know. That's definitely a term for something else. I might be using it wrong. So don't coin me for that one.
Yeah, so it really shook those guys up because they could not move. You saw who is the Mercy player, Custa, trying to fly away, couldn't fly away.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Actually, none of that mattered because Los Angeles not even able to get point one on Blizzard World. A lot of that has to do with mistakes again on the Sombra, just getting these pretty high impact EMPs, and they just can't ever capitalize. Man, they just get EMP'd. He wipes the team, and dude, it's just kind of a mess.
And just getting picks as well. Like he'll pick people off because Sombra usually sits in your back line. So.
Yeah, I kind of marked it as over at this point for LA. But LA is kind of, when you have to win one game or one match or something like that, you're like, dude, we just need to win one to get to the playoffs. That's all we got to do. So they keep fighting. We get in Nepal. Like I said, LA is not able to get Blizzard World in the slightest. So
and this one is the map of the match.
Yeah.
Because it's the most.
These control maps, man, are so fun to watch.
Yeah.
We get Agility's back in for soon, just because he's got that high hero pool. A lot of players, or a lot of heroes he can play. Map 1, we see Triple Tank, which is cool because Triple Tank punishes Boston because Boston is kind of a one-dimensional team. They dive really well. They're really well coordinated. And Triple Tank, it's hard for a Genji to kill three tanks, especially when one of them's a Roadhog. That dude's fat. He's getting fat and got a lot of HP. So it just punishes Boston there. So the LA able to take map 1. We get into map 2. What is it? Sanctum, yeah, and Mistakes just out. Oh, did I say Soon was taken out? Who came out for Soon?
Oh, sorry, Bunny.
Bunny, yes.
Yeah, Agilities came in for Bunny because that
Soon
really need Tracer here. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Tracer not great on much of the. I mean, especially this map, Sanctum, not very good. But Mistakes just dominating Soon on the Widow play.
Just definitely wins that battle.
Not just the battle between the two Widows, but the picks on the other members as well.
Yes.
You see Mistakes in that right-hand corner for almost the entire map.
And one thing to mention, too, is that, over this whole match, both teams are playing extremely well. Because here on Sanctum, Soon is getting outplayed by Mistakes, but Soon is still at, 60% scope. It's just that Mistakes is at, 63%. So every bit counts.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Boston takes that one, map 2. So we go to a map 3, and LA's kind of clinching it because if they lose this one's over.
Yeah.
So we see Agilities switch over to the Pharah, and just is never contested.
Yeah.
They just never do anything about him. He is getting pick after pick. At one point, I think he gets Striker right off the bat. And
with a good rocket, a long range rocket.
Oh yeah, it's insane. And if you are a Pharah on this map, or you're the team with the Pharah on this map, and you hold a point, it is so difficult for the offensive team to come in against the Pharah. There's just so much spam. I mean, this map's really big, really long, and it's so hard to come in. Does Boston even get a percentage on this map? I don't think they do.
Don't think they do. But that's something we're seeing though, was that after the initial patch that fixed Mercy, we started to see less Pharah, right? And it became a case where you didn't see her picked as much. The air-to-air battles didn't happen as much as we used to see them. But you still need to have a solution because the guys who are still playing Pharah are the guys who are giving people trouble, mainly on these control maps.
Yeah.
And those control maps are important, especially if you go to Game 5, right? We always talk about NYXL, where you don't want to take them to Game 5 because they're so good at control.
Yeah. Let me tell you who's good against Brigitte. That's Pharah.
She's coming back.
You ever try to swing a mace at somebody flying? Not possible. Not possible. So, that brings us into Route 66. LA able to clinch one out. So, they are in the playoffs at this point.
Yes.
And still in this match. So, We see you soon come back in. So Boston able to get through 1 and 2 pretty quickly. Stryker is still a damn good tracer. And he puts a lot of pain in the back line of Los Angeles. But Bunny decided to log in for point 3. I don't know where he was the entire time, but he AFK for a little while, but he comes through for point 3, stalls it out. And I think that confidence, Bunny getting some picks at the end there, soon getting some picks as well, they look a lot more confident on the come around on the offensive.
Yeah.
And dude, they get 2.3, I think, with 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
Listen, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah, it's like they started there. That's point 1.
They all spawned there to start.
Well, it's crazy because we don't see Boston even contest on 2. It's almost like 2 didn't even matter. So they start pretty much at point 3 with 5 minutes, and with 5 minutes on point 3, you could play Symmetra at this point and
give the crowd what they want.
Yeah. So
but
LA's,
it's
go ahead, sorry.
We just talked about Route 66 and Super's Roadhog, right? Where even in that case where the cart didn't stop, they didn't have this much time.
Yeah. They had 3 minutes in going
exactly.
Yeah. So 5 minutes is a big chunk of
time.
Dude,
Soon's Widow, when Soon's playing at his peak Widow, if he can get to the point where he's playing like that all the time, he's in the discussions, man, for bird ring level shenanigans.
I think his consistency is brought up quite a bit, especially on cast. They mentioned that Soon is on today, he's off the day. This is finding the middle ground,
which is
being
something
consistent.
When he was a pure tracer player back in that day, that was something we commended him for, was how consistent he was.
Yeah.
But now that he has to go and grow, he's gonna have those peaks and valleys. So I want to see some more Soon Widowmaker, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do tie it up there, giving us another map 5, going to Oasis one more time. I think we see Oasis more in this stage for sure than almost any other map.
Yeah.
Right? So note pretty insane on this one. That's one of my
insane. Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was so good.
He's easily one of the best D.Va players. He
best bombs. I'm gonna say best bombs right now in the league.
Oh yeah,
used to be
we
Poco.
had Poco.
Yeah.
Now we got no. Yeah, he looks like one of the best DPS players on the team at this point, because dude, he is in the kill feed the entire time. But
it reminds me of Space. How Space is so good at cleaning up kills.
Yeah. Yep. So Boston gets map 1. Boston gets map 1. So we go to map 2 where, dude, I don't know if you noticed this, but Agility farms a blade, and I don't think it had ticked over to 11% yet. It wasn't even 11% they had been battling out for this. It was Boston took it, Agility's farms a blade within 11%, which is 11 seconds. It's insane how quick he gets it. But this is kind of a battle back and forth the whole time up until the very end. Where it looks, it looks like LA's gonna lose it here, but Space has a huge 2K bomb, real high impact, and that kind of wins them that map. So that brings us to a third one. I always like when it goes to 3 out of map 5.
You're already committed. You're already committed to watching this whole thing. You're like, you know what? Let's do it all the way.
It's nerve-wracking for me. Well, imagine these guys up on stage. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy. But they do go 99 on the map 3, which is pretty cool. But an EMP at the end of the game by mistakes kind of just wraps it up.
Yeah,
just seals the fate of LA.
And here, Stryker obviously is. Everybody's talking about Stryker MVP for League in general, right?
Hey, I wouldn't argue against it, man.
Yeah, everybody's
watching this guy one-clip people. He is a confident tracer, man. Especially I watch a lot of Jake, because I like my boy Jake. He's all-American, cool, seems like a cool guy, and I love Junkrat, but dude, he's shaky. Yeah. Shaky on the tracer, and then you go over to Strike, you're like, holy shit, dude. This guy is insane.
And he's a tank busting tracer too, which is
front
weird.
Yeah.
It's not. I say weird because I don't play DPS much, but I do play some tracer. When I play tracer, I always played her front line like that. And people used to tell me, "You're doing it wrong. That's not how you play tracer. Go to back line, do all this stuff." But I felt comfortable like that. And then to see Stryker, a pro, play at that level and to play in that style that I felt was a possibility is great, right? And it's great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, even SPB, Prophet, all these guys, we see a lot of point of views from these guys, and they say, well, he's going for the one clip, or he's going for, he's trying to get him right here. Stryker gets those one clips a lot of times. He gets a one clip melee almost every time he's going against the Zenyatta, dude. It is crazy seeing how confident he is on that character.
And that puts Boston at a 10-0 record, right?
Yep. Yeah, undefeated in this stage. Yeah, dude, insane.
That's crazy. And to put even more emphasis on it is that they don't have subs.
Yeah.
So they're doing this like they did this with the same squad.
Yep.
From day one of stage 3 to the end because they had to, right? Their situation. And that's really impressive.
Well, that's what's crazy to see because it is, like I said, on that map, that point on Nepal, when they switch over to a composition that's able to punish that style of play, they don't look as good, but I think teams got to figure that kind of thing out, man.
Yeah.
But, so they're number one going into stage 3 playoffs.
They earned it. Definitely impressive
absolutely.
to watch.
Yeah, it was cool.
All right, so now we get to in our next set of matches, right? We start off with our 2 honorable mentions. So we have Los Angeles Gladiators versus Boston Uprising. Gladiators Boston Uprising take it 3-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remain undefeated.
Yeah, remaining undefeated. Puts them at that 10 wins. And then we have NYXL versus Shanghai Dragons. They get a match, or get a map on NYXL.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I did not realize that looking at this earlier in the week when the match actually happened, because I just assumed. I'm an asshole. I just assumed that Shanghai did not win because New York is so good. But that's cool. Got a map.
And one thing that came out of this was, a lot of people were, or a lot of the team was trying to get the community kind of back off on Free Feel because they're using him again. But they, people were saying, oh, he's bad, he stop, blah, blah. But I like how Shanghai Dragons, like, they're standing up for each other. And they're they understand what their mission is, what they need to do, and they're working towards that and not letting the outside negativity, because they have a lot of supporters as well, but they're not letting that outside negativity affect them. So great on them, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep working towards it. But yeah, so NYXL takes that 3-1. And then we hop into our feature match, which is London Spitfire versus Seoul Dynasty. And this is a rivalry that goes back beginning of time, right?
Yeah. It's the battle of the 2 Korean teams that aren't New York Excelsior.
Exactly. the other ones.
Yeah.
And, it's always been a case where Seoul Dynasty has had a hard time playing against London Spitfire, and London Spitfire has been vocal that they don't think Seoul's good. So
they bring it up every time these guys play. It's so great. I love that kind of. I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more shit talking. We'll get into this going into the playoffs, but because there is a little bit more shit talking going into it. But I think it's cool that they say they're flat out they're not a good team. That's crazy.
So good.
Yeah.
So we get into our first map, which is Volskaya. And here we get the biggest shocker of all. I don't know. This is one of the biggest things I probably want to say that's happened in the league. Is we have Ryu Jae-hong as main tank.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is
obviously a very vocal player. And we see it from the comms, dude. He is always talking.
Yes.
Like SBB.
So on paper, it makes sense, right?
Yep.
He main support, so he knows how to protect supports and what needs to be done on the back line and how to manage that. He's the red Power Ranger of the team. He's the face of the team. So comms and Winston needs to be the most vocal player because he coordinates the dives. But, there's been some controversy. Okay, what's the deal with Miro? And nobody's telling anybody, right? Everybody's, because these teams, they keep them to themselves. But all that being said, I'm a Ryu Jae-hong fan just from his on-up days and even his Zenyatta play still. And to see this was crazy to me, especially considering that when I'm not playing support, I'm playing tank. So this just means I'm going to play more tank again. Very easily influenced. But yeah. We get into it. Ryu Jae-hong starts on Winston. And here we get to see Seoul play very aggressive defense, which is something we don't usually see. They usually play more of a standard defensive style. Like they're responsive, but they're never like this aggressive. And what happens is they force London Spitfire to cap in overtime. And we talk about time bank all the time, right? Anytime you're fighting for time, especially on Volskaya, which is one of the more well-known maps by all the teams, everybody has their strategy for it. This is not the place you want to mess up. So naturally, Shanghai or Seoul only has to get one tick, and they do on their second go-around on attack. Ryu Jae-hong playing pretty well. They're showing his stats compared to Gesture. Gesture's doing more damage, well, a lot more damage, almost like 40% more damage, but on the rest of the stats, they pretty much line up.
Yeah.
Which is impressive considering that this man has not played any tanks in the Overwatch League on camera or in any of the games. So, yeah, they take the first one.
I was going to say, the only thing that really stuck out to me on this map was the fact that Birdring, dude, so it's his first time back. Had some wrist injuries, stuff like that. And we saw Hureg before. Birdring killing it on the Genji at one point, getting all kinds of blades, all kinds of picks, whatever. I guess if you're doing so well, why mess it up? He switches to Junkrat at one point, and I played a lot of Junkrat on this point. It's not good. There's too many angles. It's not. No one's funneling into one area because you have so many dive tanks. You have Genji. You have Diva. They're all just coming from so many different areas that he switches to the Junkrat, dude, and he does get a tire. Does nothing with it, but he just dies over and over, man. I think that was the big cost right there. Because Genji is so good at staying alive, and that's all you need on this point is to stay alive.
Yeah.
To stay alive, wait for reinforcements, and get a pick. But yeah, that's my small rant there. What are you doing?
It's good to have a top 500 Junkrat on the cast.
If I'm saying Junkrat's bad on this map, especially on this point, he's bad.
And then it's like how much validity, me being platinum diamond player is like, oh yeah, this is it, yada blah blah blah. You just gotta take my word for it. But yeah, so we hop into Numbani. So Seoul took the last one, so it's now 1-0. We hop into Numbani, where this is, if not their best map, one of their best maps. Spitfire does really well here. So they're on attack first. They move the payload without any stalls and end up with a 3+ minute time bank, which is ideal here, right?
Yeah.
You end up with 3+ minutes anywhere. You're going above and beyond.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think someone for point 2 yelled at Birdring about the Junkrat play and said, "Hey, you got to make it up for map 2 here, buddy." So there you go.
Yeah, he plays really well here, and I think
he does.
It's also a case where he's working. I don't know if he's over the wrist injury. I think he's easing himself back into it is what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he's still playing. Like the Birdring we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, on defense, they're able to stop Seoul because they just dominate fights after point 2. They have a real hard time getting a full fight even triggered. There's a lot of picks going on, so they're staggering the numbers in their favor, and London closes it out.
Yeah. At one point, Seoul offense is on point 3. Birdring gets a blades, gets a couple kills. He switches over to the McCree. And I'm like, oh, cool, switch over to McCree. He has a dead eye. He comes out of the spawn with a dot eye. Is this an error in the game? What the fuck?
He's that good, man.
Dude, I guess so, man. But yeah, killing it.
Yeah, and then we hop into Ilios, so we get our control map. And Seoul usually saw it on control map, and here they show it. We do have Birdring sub out, so maybe related to the injury. Have Hureg coming back in, but Hureg, even last week, he was playing out of his mind.
He was doing well.
He's playing like he was a main roster guy, and that's great to have, especially somebody coming off the bench playing like that. But on Wells, he plays Farah right in front of Fleda's McCree. Does not care.
Nope.
Or not Fleda's McCree.
No, you're right. Fleda is playing McCree, but eventually switches to the Widow.
Yes, yeah. Fleda's playing McCree here, having no luck. Switches to Widow and still unable to do anything about it at that point, because it is like 60% when he does switch. So it's one of those cases where, if you make the decision, you gotta make the decision quick because you're playing from behind at that point. And then we move in round 2 where Seoul closes it out. or yeah, Soul closes out where Fleta, he's on Widow, now he's warm, they're on Ruins. It writes itself, right?
Yeah, pretty dominant. Not just Fleta. I mean, he kills it, but the whole team is killing it at this point. We see a lot of picks from Munchkin. We see a lot of picks from both the tanks. Even Ryuji Hong, dude, getting picks on that Winston. Loving it.
Yeah, and he plays some Orisa here, too, as well.
He played Orisa on Well, which was underwhelming at first. He seemed a little awkward on it because his shield's a little off. I was watching. I was like, okay. So we see him play the Winston. He's going to switch over to another main tank. How good is he going to be at that? Because there's a lot of big main tanks. Like, you can get good at Winston, but are you good at Reinhardt as well? So, yeah.
He's good with the pull, too. Like, he puts the pull in a good place to get people where he wants them to be. But, yeah, so we go to Junkertown, which is a map we've seen a lot of lately. And this is our map of the match. And here is just Prophet being Prophet, man. He's killing a lot of characters.
Killing on the Genji.
He's killing it. Wakid comes in for Fleta. So giving Fleta a break. And then we see that Horeg starts to struggle to finish kills on Widow, which now is uncharacteristic, right?
Yep.
Before, that was kind of like what you expected from him. But here, he's not able to finish shots. He's getting body shots. He's putting the damage out there. But he's not finishing them, and no one else is finishing them.
Yep.
Which means that they're not dying, which means that there's a problem.
Yep.
Outside of that, he gets no headshots. And then, Munchkin gets on Widow and does better than Horeg does.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Because we know Munchkin from playing mainly Tracer.
Yeah, exactly. Munchkin is Tracer Junkrat. That's what he does. And usually you see Fleta would hop on Widow, right?
No.
But no, that's what you got. And then we see on defense, Prophet has these, he gets a lot of Genji blades here and uses them. But the biggest one is when he gets that 3K blade that stops their final cap attempt.
Yeah. It's crazy because
they close it out.
Soul goes into that point with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, which London didn't push it that far. I mean, they didn't get it to the end of point 3. They easily can capitalize on the 4 minutes left. And Wakid and who is the Wakid and Prophet are both on Junkrat almost the entire map, doing nothing. Neither of them are doing much of anything. I feel bad for Wakid because he is notoriously a Junkrat player. And so he just never switches. He never gets off Junkrat this entire map, even though it's not very, it's obviously not working. I don't know, man.
And I wonder what it's like because the coaches aren't a part of the comms, right?
No, they can't. And influence them anyway during the game.
Exactly. And it's one of those cases where, at what point, how does the authority run where it's like, hey, get off of that character. We need you off that character. Or if there are cases where they think they can push it a little further than it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably varies team to team.
Yeah. Yeah, is there a captain in place? I mean,
yeah. Well, you have to obviously, but how much emphasis does he put on getting people to switch when they need to switch?
Right. Yeah, is there one guy kind of dictating everybody's role in certain situations? I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out.
Then we move into Oasis, which we've seen a lot of Oasis.
Yep.
In stage 3. We have Fleta sub in for Wakid. And then we have Gesture just kind of do his thing. Gesture, he's up there, right? He's top 3, top 2, whatever you want to say.
Especially Winston, yeah.
Yeah. And so round 1, we get to see Ryuji Hong on Reinhardt, which is just this whole match for me is just great.
Yeah.
This is amazing because you couldn't tell me to bet on an event outcome and say, oh yeah, we'll see Ryuji Hong playing tank one day. No. But yeah, we get to see him on Reinhardt, and they actually go a triple tank comp, but they have trouble here. I think Fled is actually on Zarya.
Yep.
Here. But the problem is that they get their ults fairly quickly and they never use them. Where the fights when the fights do go in their favor, it doesn't make sense to burn the ult. Or when they lose fights, it doesn't make sense to burn the ult because you're gonna need it for the next fight possibly.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is that Gesture does a great job of displacing the tanks where they're never really together, so they can't line up their ults. For a satisfied outcome. And because of that, Ryan, like when Ryu Jae-hong finally gets to use his shatter, he ends up using it inconveniently. It shows even the gravitational pull from or ult from Fleta Zarya's poor, and that's all because of gesture, pretty much putting people in the places he wants them to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he actually ults at one point and bounces a couple guys off the point where you're like, okay, this is the time for Soul to come back and get a big grab or something like that, but he gestures bouncing them off the side of the map, dude. It's so cool.
Yeah. And then we get, the second map where I think I have this wrong. Do I have Soul winning this one?
Yeah, they would have to win this one, I think. So
No, this is wrong. It's London Spitfire because they win it.
Oh, yeah, they went 2-0. Yep.
Yeah. So they went 2-0 on this one. I apologize for that. But round 2, Munchkin actually does really well here on McCree. But for some reason, and this one's weird to watch, for some reason, they can't hold point. I don't know if I guess it's their positioning, but it's on City Center, and they keep fighting in that room that's close to the highway.
Yeah.
And they never, like, whenever they win a fight or they get an advantage, they never get on point to cap it. So what happens is London Spitfire focuses on that and keeping that point running constantly, and they end up pretty much sneaking it out from under them. And they 2-0 on Oasis, and then they wrap it up, and that's pretty much how this ends, which is it was lackluster because this game specifically is exciting because the kills are there, the back and forth is there. It's just that Soul's known to have issues when it comes to, both teams are known to have issues when it comes to points and objectives, and it definitely showed here, and it cost them the game. So yeah, London Spitfire take it 3-2. Was there anything else that kind of stood out here for you?
No, you brought it up. Soul definitely has a hard time capitalizing on when to take the point, and just offense in general. They're just not known to be a very aggressive offensive team. They obviously very good on defense on a lot of these maps, but yeah, getting on the point for them is foreign.
Yeah.
So that brings us into the final day of the week, Saturday, where we see the first match of the day. Shanghai Dragons battle it out against London Spitfire. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Shanghai do take
one map.
They do take one map again off one of the Korean teams.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so London wins that one 3-1. Ryan, do you want me to skip this one?
See, we decided since we couldn't finish out map 5, we're just going to finish any map for the rest of the week.
Yeah, there's like, nah, we're not going to win anymore.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so Seoul able to redeem themselves on Saturday.
Yeah.
Against Houston. I actually want to go. I don't know if I want to see the highlights of this one, but I want to know what happened. Yeah. Did you watch any of this?
No, I watched. Okay, so I caught it by mistake, where I watched I think the last 2 maps, and I saw it was a beating. I don't know.
We do get to see more Lee Ji-hong for sure on this as main tank.
Yes.
So probably just getting used to being that kind of that front runner, kind of that captain. Yeah, so
it's definitely throwing people off. I know that.
It is, for sure. But yeah, so the Dynasty take it 4-0, and that brings us into the final match of the week, where we see the Valiant battle it against the Fusion.
Good one.
So Fusion need to win this one 4-0.
Good luck.
Which Fusion is notorious for going to 5. They go 5 here yet again. Dude, they have seen Oasis more than I've seen my fiance. Insane. But yeah, so Philadelphia's got to win at 4-0 to make it to the playoffs. Kind of a long shot. And I think Philadelphia knows that. We don't see Carpe in the lineup. Carpe taking a mental break.
Yeah.
Because obviously, bigger picture is, the state's playoffs are cool. You win a bunch of money. You party at the end, but the big picture is the playoffs at the end of the actual season.
We know this game takes a toll on Carpe.
It does,
especially his role on the team. He's very important.
Yeah, if I'm drinking wine playing on ladder, I couldn't imagine what these guys are doing. But yeah, so we started off at Volskaya, one of the best maps design wise, and we see LA. Get point 1 pretty quick. Soon remains on Widow for point 2, which, you generally don't see. And then EQO gets the sweetest blade I've ever seen. Doesn't kill anybody with it. But somehow he is able to swipe every single person on the team once.
Yeah.
Just enough to get the support some ults for Los Angeles. And LA take point 2 pretty dominantly. It was actually kind of crazy because I was like, holy shit, dude, I don't think that's even possible. Like, you could not recreate that in practice.
Yeah, he dropped every blade on this map. Every blade he dropped.
Yeah, I think he makes it up in the next map. He makes it up at some point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's his character.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. LA take point 2, and then Philly go on the offensive. Fraggy, just being Fraggy.
Yeah.
He tries to 1v1 Kareev at one point. It is so embarrassing. He's jumping at Kareev, who's on Zenyatta, and Kareev is like, dude, I'm like 100 feet from you. I can just destroy you.
Exactly.
Destroys him. Dies. Gives him another recontest on point 1, but soon goes point 2, or goes Sombra point 2, gets a bunch of EMPs. Philly is never able to get point 2 at all, and there's their playoffs wrapped up right there.
In the first map. I was audibly laughing. It's mean, but hey, I thought they would have gave more effort.
Yeah. I do like this note. Space is legit. He is undoubtedly one of the better off tanks in the league. He is just turned 18, obviously, so he's got a lot to prove coming into the league, but he is proving himself.
We only have stage 3 stats. And it's the same thing with Snilio, right? Where that's one of the discussions that's been going around on the competitive Overwatch forum is that, who are the top, tracers? Obviously, SBB's up there. People are saying Striker's the best. But then that third spot, a lot of people are saying Prophet. But I honestly feel that Snillo may be in that discussion. It's just that he hasn't played enough for me to be fully confident in that claim. So we'll see. And the same thing with Space, where Space is doing really well right now, but there's a lot of divas that have been doing it from day one. So we have to see how that plays out. But they're definitely on the right track.
Yeah. And like you mentioned here, soon he does look really on point on this point.
Yeah, he's looking like a Widow player.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely know him from his McCree as Tracer, but dude, he is stepping it up on the Widow. LA takes that one, takes the first map, and we get into Numbani. Soon comes out, Agility comes in, and LA, oh my god, I've never seen somebody struggle on point 1 and 2 for so long. Holy shit. Dude, they're in the spawn at point 2 for 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
What are they doing in there, Ryan?
Trying to figure it out.
I guess so, dude.
It was weird because I was like, are you going to make an attempt or not?
No, they're just sitting there the whole time. Aggravating to watch, man. Get out of the damn point.
Yeah.
They have nothing to talk about except for you dying over and over.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I guess. Jesus Christ. They do get to point. They do make it through point 2. Shockingly. It's insane. The only thing that really stood out for LA for me is Agility is still insane on the Genji, but he is able to wait on his Dragon Blades. He knows when the Transcendence is up every single time. And it's very noticeable because he gets 1 or 2 kills right after it. It's just he's the only one on the team doing anything on this map. Because Philly comes back on offense, 1 and 2, no problem. Point 1 and 2, no problem. Agility's still trying to carry the team, but just not able to carry the whole team because they... Did you see Snillo ride the point in when no one's looking?
Yeah.
He just sneaks around everybody. We know him being sneaky. Sneaky Snillo. Snillo. Whatever his name is.
I always say Snillo too, just because that second L, I feel like it's an I. But yeah, Snillo.
Yeah, he rides the point in. No one on LA is even looking at him. Kind of embarrassing.
So they take this one from LA, which LA has a over 70% win rate here, so that's definitely not cool beans. But.
Yep. What else do we got? We got anything on this one?
Overtime. They both play dive comp the whole match, and it's pretty much like who can outdo the other.
Yeah.
And with Philadelphia playing very aggressive and not leaving anything, which is like you think they would have took that energy and put it in the first map since they needed the 4-0, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us into we're at 1-1 at this point. Man, they just needed to win that first map. I think Philly could have 4-0'd. Never 4-0'd in their life, but I think they could have.
There's no statistics to back up them being able to do it, but I think
they could have done it.
Oh man, that's funny.
So they bring it. This gets us into Nepal. Philly takes this map 1. This is damn. I got to learn the name of these damn Nepal maps.
Oh, Shrine.
Yeah, Shrine. Philly actually takes an early point up to 75, but once they lose it because agility's on Farah, they're just never able to get it back. We talked about it earlier in the episode. Farah is very difficult to push into, and especially when EQO forgets that he has a Q button on his keyboard. Has Blade the whole map.
He's not doing well on Genji this match.
Dude, it's rough because the commentators are like, all right, EQO, he's got this Blade. That's what they need to take back this point. And then they'll die, they'll wipe or whatever, and then they'll come back. All right, EQO's got this Blade. That's what they need to take this point. Never Blades throughout the whole thing, and just get dominated on map 1. And then we see a triple tank comp come out of LA for map 2, which is kind of cool because we never see agilities on Zarya, and kills it. Dude gets 2 big grabs, real high impact grabs too. One towards the very end where it looks like LA is about to give over the point and hits a grab and they wipe it up.
So how do you feel? How do you feel about the whole thing? Like, this happens with like 3-point shooters where one night they're just not hitting the threes, and they kind of say, "Well, just keep shooting them until you get out of that rut." Do you think that's the same approach with EQ on Genji? Because it's like at this point it's like he's forcing it.
Yeah, no, it's hard to say because when I am not feeling on a character in Overwatch, especially on ladder, I tend to just switch off. I mean, I had one of those days the other day where I wanted to play Farah. Obviously, there's a lot of Hanzo and Brigade. I wanted to play Farah, but I just was not connecting with anything. So I switched over to something else. I felt a lot better because, and I brought this up a couple times before, confidence is a big thing in this game if you're just not confident, and he just didn't seem confident on the Genji at this point. Just switch. They really tell 3-pointers to keep shooting at it? That's awesome. So I like that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with football too, is like, with wide receivers, if they're not catching it, sometimes they'll tell the quarterback, keep throwing his direction until he gets back into it because it's like a mental block, or you just pull him out. I mean, there's only 2 answers. Either you use him or you don't. But it all depends on how the coaching feels in that standpoint, how the player feels, if they think that they can get out of that with that strategy. So I'm just kind of thinking.
I think you're exactly right. I think that either he switches it up there, and that's what I think I would have switched it up, but what do you go to? The maps are so quick that you're like, oh, well, shit, I have my ult. And I think that's what happened on Nepal. He had his ult, and he's like, well, shit, it took me this whole damn map to get this thing. I might as well use it. Never uses it.
And, what plays a big part in this, like we said at the beginning, is that Carpe is not in the lineup. So this would be a case where EQO would probably get subbed out for Snilio so that he could, they could salvage the overall performance. But we don't have that option.
We don't really ever see this combo, right, of Snilio and EQO. We generally see Carpe as the main DPS role in there, and one of those 2 guys gets subbed out. So. Los Angeles gets that one. That's the second win of theirs. And then we get into Route 66, where Agilities comes out, Bunny comes back in, and EQO finally warming it up here, it seems like, because he does outperform soon on the Widow. In my opinion, I think he does outperform soon here. So Philly does hold on to point 2 in overtime. LA finally gets it in at point 3, but Philly just has this huge time bank, like we talked about before. 4 minutes going into point 3.
Yeah, and they're able to move it without having to stall at all.
Yeah.
Which is becoming a theme on Route 66, is that if you don't cause a major stall, especially at point 2, since that's your best chance, you end up in a situation where that team just keeps rolling it through.
Yeah, and LA is actually really good at this point 2 stall. We've seen it before, generally with Carpe and Fraggy, or Snilio and Fraggy.
They work really well together.
Yeah, Snilio sneaking around the corner, calling out where everybody is. Fraggy's able to jump in, not do weird Fraggy shit, like jump in the random positions. Snealio's helping his buddy out on this one.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those cases where a player's almost behavioral expectations that people think, like how Fraggy jumps in, plays to their advantage when Snealio's in the game, because Snealio comes from an angle and you're thinking Fraggy's out of position, so you try to capitalize on it, and then you're out of position because Snealio was there planning it, right? It's almost like when you make a move because you know that they're expecting you to make a move, so you make the move they're not expecting you to make. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know, but yeah, it plays their advantage, and it creates this weird kind of dichotomy where they work together. So works out in their favor.
Yeah, Philly able to take it to another map 5, where Agilities does come back in for Oasis.
Yes. And we finish up with Oasis, where both teams are pretty much 50% here, so it can go either way, right? But this is one theme that kind of permeated throughout this whole week, is that if you don't answer Farah, it's going to be a problem. Farah does a lot of damage, especially if she's landing, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we see here from Agilities, is his Farah's really solid, and they never really have an answer for it. Part of that because Carpe's not in the game, right? He's not in the lineup. So yeah, here, I mean, Snealio does well on round 1 in City Center. And one thing about his style is that, they pointed it out, which I never really thought of, is that when he has ult, he always tries to one-clip somebody before he uses it.
Yeah.
Or the majority of the time, which is definitely interesting, because I guess he's saying, if I can one-clip you, there's no reason for me to blow my ult. Or you have other cases where, players will ult and then try to start killing them, and if it kills them, then good, right? Different approach, same result, just need a player to die. But then we go to University, where Fusion tried the triple tank again, and it doesn't really work out because Agilities is on Farah. So you have the 3 tanks, but it's not like you're dealing with a Genji, because naturally he wouldn't pick Genji. Like you said, it's real hard to kill 3 tanks when you're Genji, right?
Yep. Instead, he goes with the Farah, right, and he just gets a ton of ult charge after this.
Because they never stop him. And then after that, it's just game over, which is weird because, Philadelphia Fusion in the last couple matches has been losing University, and that's Fraggy Town.
That is Fraggy Town.
Like,
what
you
the
gotta
hell,
win that
Fraggy?
Not saying it's Fraggy's fault, but, that's kind of a map that people expect them to win.
Yeah, this is playing towards your opponent, too. I mean, you just know that Fraggy is going to pick Reinhardt on this, and damn, dude, Fear is insane against triple tank.
Yeah. But, it's definitely disheartening. I mean, there goes their chances. Los Angeles Valiant was already a lock, so it wasn't a big implication there.
So
it wrapped up a week.
So we did have a top 4 going into the playoffs.
Yes, what was that?
Boston number 1, so they get the pick. New York number 2, not surprised there. Only losing 1 match this entire stage, and that was to Boston. Yeah. And then we have 2 LA teams, which I'm pretty stoked on. Boston does get a pick. So we'll find out who they pick and who they play and who wins the stage playoffs.
Yeah, very soon. Like literally this episode.
Just a little while.
Just we try to give you the least amount of suspense. To not be abusive. But we're gonna go ahead and pitch here that, or I guess we can hold off and do all the stuff at the end, right?
Sounds good to me.
And all that.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
So we are getting into part 2 of the playoff episode. So we ended week 5 of stage 3, and we'll get into the playoff section. Kind of a long episode, but we do this the next night, and somehow Ryan has come up with a little bit of a cough. So don't mind him. Still sounds great.
Just ignore my affliction. If you guys noticed, in the first half of this episode, there's a few coughs. My voice gets a little raspy. And then I slept, woke up, went to work, and came back and just felt like death.
Yeah.
I got like a little sore throat, a little sniffly. I don't know.
That's why I don't leave the house, Ryan. Something at work happened.
I didn't do anything. I haven't seen anybody all weekend. I ran a 5K this weekend. I even worked out.
That's probably what did it. You don't run
That's
either.
probably what did it.
Yeah. So yeah, we had the top 4 with Boston, New York, Los Angeles Gladiators, and Los Angeles Valiant. And it was all talked about last episode that number 1 gets to pick who they want to play against. So Boston picks the Gladiators, calling them out, man. Said they're the weakest opponent. So
yeah. They were like, we wanted to warm up.
Yeah.
And they treated it like one.
Yeah. Beat up on them.
It's funny because, all these teams this night, excuse me, are all really confident against who they're playing against, right?
Yeah.
And they all feel like the person they're playing is not as good as them. So as we go through, you're going to see this kind of trickle down. But yeah, let's get into it. So we start with Los Angeles Gladiators versus the Boston Uprising. Junkertown, good map, solid map. People like it. It's colorful. And here's a case where, time bank is key. And this is something that we'll see throughout this night, which is just a, kind of a thing in general. But on attack, Los Angeles Gladiators look really good. That first push.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 and 2 look great.
Yeah, 1 and 2 look really solid. And they do the triple tank, single healer. You get Shaz on Bastion naturally.
Yeah,
You got to add a little bit of flair, right?
Yeah.
And then once they cap, they do that all the way through point 3. And after point 1, Bishu gets like a sick 3K bomb. So even the small stall that they get going through 2.2 is, kind of handled, and they keep it moving. But then you get a situation where Boston steps up and tells them, okay, no more. And this is a case where, Stryker just goes nuts here. He does a great job of contesting. And we talk about, you remember like old school soon. I say old school soon. It's only been a couple stages, right? But you remember old school soon, who's real good at like stopping points or stalling carts when he can, and then going and doing his business, coming back and stalling carts. And that's essentially what we see Stryker do here. And he excels at everything he does. But yeah, they stop the Gladiators from that momentum. They prevent them from getting a full cap at all. They stop them right before the point. Then we switch to attack, and we see Boston mimic what Los Angeles Gladiators did. Without the Bastion, of course, because they don't have Shaz on their team. But yeah, so they mimic what they do, and they do the same thing where point 1 and point 2 are brisk, and then they end up with a 5+ minute time bank. So even though Los Angeles Gladiators did a great job, they do better. And then you have a big 3K bomb from Note that at the moment where Los Angeles Gladiators got held up, that bomb on the opposite side helped them push through to cap it and take Junkertown.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like that's kind of like the peak of what we see from Los Angeles here. Because from that point forward, Boston is now warm, and you see a trend of Los Angeles Gladiators not being able to keep the momentum, right? Was there anything else that stood out for you, or was that kind of like the same thing you were seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel very close going into it, especially point 1 and 2. Pretty similar. I will say that mistakes stonewalled them. As you said, Stryker was pesky on the point. Being kind of a nuisance around the point, where Mistake just had all this time in the world on point 3 defense to just go off and find heads. Man, he was getting all kinds of picks on point 3 defense.
Doing real well.
Yeah.
And then we move into our control map. So we get Ilio. So right now it's 1-0, Boston up. And here's a case again where momentum is a problem for Boston. We have Asher sub in for hydration.
Yep.
And it's like, so after about 55% is where you see Los Angeles fall off again. So we start with Ruins, and the Widow battle is kind of even here. It's just that the tanks are doing so much work.
Oh yeah, the Boston tank's insane, man.
Yeah, they're not holding anything back, and that's where it turns around, right? Because Note's just been playing well for a while now.
Yeah.
Note's really consistent, and then Gamsu is there as well. So you can tell that when the moment that Note and Gamsu start picking people off, even though, Hydration or Surefour's not doing bad on Widow, he has to then switch to focusing on the point, and then Mistakes is able to take him out and win that battle. So it just shows you it's a team game, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, it was kind of crazy that Surefour was almost winning every battle up until, like you said, against Mistakes, but the two tanks, man, it didn't even matter what Surefour was doing. It was crazy to see. Yeah.
And then Boston takes the first round on Ruins, and then we move to our second round on Lighthouse, and once again, Los Angeles starts very strong, but then around 29% they kind of fade out. And then once they give it to Boston Uprising, they flip the point, but they never give it back. And once again, you have that case where Note and Gamsu are sitting on that point, and there is no... It's almost like, Surefour is kind of carrying the load here, and you can see that where everybody's not following up. I don't think they're doing poorly. I just don't think I don't think everybody's bringing their best to the table, and it shows, especially with Boston playing the way they've been playing all stage.
Yeah.
So once again, we have Boston taking Ilios as well. So quite the start to the playoffs.
Yeah, quick 2-0.
Very quick. Then we get the map that everybody, your favorite map, right?
So well designed.
We have Hydration coming back in for Asher. And this starts off with a case where they don't even start strong anymore. This is very lax attack from Los Angeles Gladiators. And we see this again later in the playoffs from a different team, and we'll get to that, where, there's the whole quote, I don't know if it's Wayne Gretzky, I can't remember, where you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And it's one of the cases where I think Los Angeles only makes 3 attempts.
That's what it
actual
seemed like.
Attack attempts.
Yep.
And this isn't even a case where, this isn't a case where people are getting picked off. It's just like the setup's not there. Either the coordination's not there. They're just not doing it. And there's even a point where Gladiators get frustrated because Striker's on Junkrat. And something about Striker, real quick, is that he is number 1 in all categories for Junkrat this stage.
That's insane.
Was there just not a lot of Junkrat? I know he's good on Junkrat. I don't know if there wasn't a lot of Junkrat this stage or what, but that's kind of crazy considering of how much he plays Tracer to also have that stat as well.
Right.
I don't know.
I think we definitely see him every time we see Temple of Anubis. He's on the defensive Junkrat for sure. And
it's Sanctum.
Yeah, and Sanctum as well. And then sometimes on Junkertown we'll see him because Tracer's not as good, just so big of a map, so hard to get around, find corners, stuff like that. You'll see Striker hop on the Junkrat as well. Dude, okay. At one point, Mistakes... I don't know how he was doing it, but he was so nimble hopping back and forth between the two top things.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine playing Genji, like Hydration was playing Genji for most of this map, kind of running his head into the wall. But he was trying to jump up to Mistakes over and over, but Mistakes would just hop over, just keep doing it over and over, dude. It had to be so annoying to play against.
And you know what's funny? We see that same kind of maneuvering from SVB later.
Oh, absolutely.
It's almost like a mimic of this match, actually, later down the road. But Happy brought up Hydration kind of having trouble on this Genji, and this momentum issue where they're swapping out Hydration and Asher, but Hydration, even on camera, looks like he just woke up from a nap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Hydration is always just low energy. He's always like a lax kind of dude, but I don't know how that makes me feel in the playoffs when we need you to kind of be in it and be hot, and you look like you just woke up.
Yeah, it looked like a wall that Boston had put up that Surefour or Hydration were just never able to even get close to. And we know Hydration, primarily a Pharah player, Doomfist player, stuff like that, and Genji's kind of his third pick. And we'll get into this later on. It looked like they had not prepared anything new for this kind of playoff season, or this playoff run, because they're running the same thing. And we've seen in the past that after the first, 1 or 2 minutes on point one of Anubis, it is so difficult for Dive to capitalize because they're set up with alts. Once Junkrat is starting to farm his tire over and over, dude, it is so difficult to push in, and we don't see Surefour do anything. He's just kind of getting. It's so hard for the Tracer to contest the Junkrat up top, the Widow up top. Just a bad time, I'm sure. Yeah, and there's you bring up the Junkrat issue, and there's a replay they play multiple times where there's a point where Gladiators get frustrated. They chase down Striker. They send 3 people after him, and he kills all 3 of them. Oh, yeah, because he ducks underneath that little thing. Yep. Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, shit, this is not something you want to do. This is like the Junkrat loves these small openings and these small tunnels and stuff like that because you're not hitting him, dude. He is plowing these balls into you. Well, that was a little odd. Plowing balls.
Hey, it writes itself.
But yeah, I know that exact moment you're talking about because Hydration is trying to come up with a blade at this point too, and dude just does nothing with it, man. It's rough. Yeah, and then after that, they get the full hold, and then on attack around Gladiators do fine on attack on their defensive opportunity, but it's one of those cases where you just punch it enough, and you only need 1 tick, and we say it every time. 1 tick is easy, man. So. Yeah, Hydration has a poor tire that could have saved because they get him to 130, about 1 minute 30 seconds, and then that tire he runs right past the supports, and tire just blows up, runs out of time, and they clean up the kills, and then they cap point, and there you go. There's your first round, your 3-0, Boston's way. Yeah, sort of. I want to say it's lackluster because those first 2 maps. Gladiators definitely did put up a fight, and it's just that they never got into a groove, they never got into a flow, and here it's just there's no room for that kind of weak showing to start. You have to start strong, or you're gonna get stomped. Absolutely. All right, and then we move into our next semifinal match, right, which is Los Angeles Valiant versus NYXL. So 2 Los Angeles teams in the playoffs. That's dope, man. Yeah, that is pretty dope. Oh, I forgot to mention at one point, Ryan, this had come up. After the last attempt on Temple of Anubis, you don't hear anyone in the crowd anymore. I thought that was... Oh, yeah. We were like, it's like dead silent. That's when everybody's going to get concessions, I think. That first map was wild, though. The audible... it was very loud. Very loud. Imagine if it gets to the point where every game is like that. Yeah, it'd be sweet. And it's kind of crazy because the tickets aren't expensive. I was looking up tickets the other day, like $22 or something like that. Yeah, not too bad. I know throughout the week it's got to be pretty difficult because it's probably a long night, right? You're watching 3 full matches. But yeah, so we get to see Los Angeles Valiant try to make up for where their brothers of LA missed out on, right? Yeah, keyword try. Yeah, they try. Yeah, NYXL is real good. It's one of those things. Turns out, yeah. Very good. I know the first comments on the competitive Overwatch Reddit was that all the complaints about NYXL having an advantage because of fatigue and all this nonsense, they don't get tired. They don't know what that is. They're always hype. They're all energetic. There's besides Jonak, he's stone faced, but it's just one of those things every map matters to them from the get go. Even when they lose, they get hype. Yeah. But yeah, we'll hop into it. So Junkertown, and this, we mentioned this that it's almost a mimic of the last matches we just talked about. So we have Junkertown, and here is a case where NYXL is just a great defender. So Boston Uprising before was good, NYXL is just better than that, and Los Angeles Valiant come out like Gladiators did. They come out real strong. They have that quick point 1, quick point 2, and then they're moving into point 3 with 5 minutes and 30 seconds on Junkertown, which is crazy. And then out of nowhere, Meko has this big bomb, Diva bomb, that stops their momentum, just like we talked about in the last one. And then they hold it and stop them from a full cap. Yeah. Right? And it's crazy the kind of parallel here, which might just speak to...
might just speak to where these teams are as far as ranks, right? As far as where they are on the ladder or on the standings. It makes sense. Like there's a good balance here, and it shows which teams are better than which teams. But on attack, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it just also looks like some of these teams prepared strategies that are more evolved.
Yes,
because we saw the same thing out of Los Angeles Gladiators. We saw the pirate ship composition, just the same thing. Where New York, and we'll see it in the later maps, in later games, that they looked like they prepared newer strategies for these matches. I like kind of seeing that kind of thing because the meta really never gets stale because you can always kind of come up with new ideas, and New York is great at that. So but
because I mean, if you think about it, and you see this in card games, if something becomes popular, like say, everybody's playing aggro, well, then it's time to whip out control decks, right?
Yep.
And then the meta starts to shift back to control, and then you start bringing in some mid range and stuff. So like, there's always a way to kind of keep turning that cycle on its head, especially when you play this many games a season. But yeah, so you mentioned N1XL adjusting, and we see that here because we know they have a double sniper comp that they like, but they usually only play it on .1s, right, to kind of throw people off. And here they play it the whole time. Yeah, which I don't think we've seen them do that yet. And this is a team that the announcers mention it. They have 3 good snipers, right? SBB can snipe, Libero can snipe, and then Pine is basically a sniper sitting in a chair playing the game. Like all he does, he probably when he's not playing, he's in the back, or when he's not in the back. When he's on vacation, he's probably at shooting range. The guy is nonsense.
Yep.
But yeah, NIXL does double sniper, and they just kind of run it all the way through. They don't have that stopping point that Los Angeles Valiant have, because like we said, they don't get tired. They don't really have that momentum stifle. And when they do get stifled, their defense that follows up is just oppressive. Yeah. Where they make sure that, we didn't get a full cap. You're getting nowhere close to where we got to. It's crazy. It's crazy how they all can adjust how good they are depending on how they perform on attack. Yeah. Which is why I think in cases where they have to do defense second is usually when they do the best, because they're better at making those adjustments. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you brought that up too, because it seemed like Agility's just never wanted to get off the Junkrat, or whoever on LA's captain squad or whatever, whoever's making these calls, they never tell them to get off the Junkrat. And it's the same thing on offense, where you mentioned Meko gets these diva bombs, multiple diva bombs, because they never get off Orisa, they never get off the slow moving squad to a dive comp on offense. Just stick to the same thing for 5 minutes. They never adjust, where we see NY is willing to adjust. And it looked like LA just did not know how to combat this double sniper, where we know Agilities is good at Genji. Why not just switch over to a dive comp, punish these guys? Nope, stays on Junkrat the whole time.
Yeah, try to create an opportunity, right? Because they fall into the Orisa trap, where they hold on to ult for way too long, and then they try to get the most value out of it, and ends up just getting blown up when they throw it out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so NYXL takes Junkertown. We hop into Ilios, our control map. We know NYXL dominates control. They're real good at it. And here's a case where they just outplay Los Angeles Valiant. Literally every map, they play the same comp that Valiant plays, and they play it better. We have Onimo come in for Arc, which I'm starting to think that Onimo is like a Bonnie situation. For Outlaws, where they bring him in on control, and they also bring him in when Libero's in, because he has a good repertoire with Libero, versus Arc, who plays really well with Jonak, right?
Yeah. So when they also brought up, I was gonna say they brought up some insane stat where he had not died in a few maps or something like that. Not just one map. I think he went through a control point. All map didn't die. It was insane. Because he was getting out, and you're like, oh, well, he's getting out of the fight. Maybe he still needs to be in there. But he had twice as much healing as whatever other Mercy he was going against. It was kind of insane to see.
Which is impressive, considering you're essentially the guy behind Arc, who's known for not dying. Like, somebody put out a chart the other day, and based on how often Arc plays and how much he dies, it's crazy. The man doesn't know what death is.
Yeah, if you ever look at, especially the New Yorks, both their mercies, if you look at them play and where they're set up, dude, it is crazy how far away they are from everybody. They get max range on the heal and the power up. They just get as far away as they can.
Yeah.
And they make it so hard to dive because you have to dive all the way back.
Yeah. And then, they also have two main tanks, Janice and Mono, that are willing to die for advantage. Like they're real good at gauging when they need to, sacrifice themselves to get that heads up, which plays into it, that it's definitely, it's just chemistry, man. This team is so well put together, and so tight. It's gonna take a while for some teams to step up to the plate. But yeah, so round one we get Lighthouse, which is crazy because we get a 99% situation, and then Libero just is clutch, and he's known for being clutch, right? I think, what was his nickname from like stage 1, the Earl of Eliminations or something like that. But he steps up here where he has a critical 3K, at this point, and 2 of the kills are from a boop.
Yeah, man.
Knocks 2 people off. Yeah, knocks 2 people off, comes in, gets the kill, flips the whole fight, which was going in Los Angeles Valiant's favor, and then they cap it, and there's no room for error because, it's an overtime at this point. So the least bit of, if you don't have anybody touching it, it's going, right? And they take Lighthouse. And then we hop into Wells, where this situation is you have a bounce back of it flipping between teams, but as it goes on, NYXL just manages their ults better. We do get to see this cool thing where Libero and Agilities essentially just have a mech battle and then end up ulting each other to death.
Yeah. It looked like above and below too, right? It wasn't like right in front of each other. It was like the weirdest camera angle I've ever seen. It was so weird to look at. Dude, I felt so bad for Custa on this map because they never Custa.
Oh yeah,
they just never let him play at all because, dude, Mano is on this guy the entire time. Mano and SBB and Meko and SBB at one point are just switching off who is on Custa. Dude, he never makes it to the point without dying.
And what's funny about that is that same thing was happening to Big Goose in the previous match. Where they
I did not notice that.
They were sitting on Goose because Shaz was doing fine, but every second you turned around, Boston killed Goose, and like he was dead a majority of the match. And that seemed to be, like I said, these games are like mirrors of each other, which is crazy to watch them back to back because they only take it's like an hour and a half, right? Because you don't have that many matches. But yeah, they pretty much mimic each other in that sense. So it's funny you bring that up with the Custa situation. But yeah, Ilios taken. NYXO continues to be good at control maps, and then we get into Clay's favorite map, Anubis again.
Oh, dude. I wanted to turn it off after the first push, man. It was so bad. Because it looked like the same, pardon my French, fucking thing that Los Angeles Gladiators. You just watched them fail trying the same thing. It looked like the exact same comp. It almost looked like the exact same match.
Yeah. yeah, like point for point.
Oh, my God.
We have Art come back in. We have Janice come in, which shows you that they're planning on being aggressive, right? And this is a case where, just once again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. There's even a point where I think we have I forgot who's casting this game. Is it Monty? It's Monty and Doa, I believe.
Yep, Monty and Doa.
And there's a point where they kind of stop talking. They're like, are they going to make an attempt kind of thing? Because Los Angeles Valley is just sitting outside of the point. And even when they're starting to gather around the left-hand side from their point of view, Kareev gets stuck at the door.
Yeah.
And
never can make it through the hallway there, yeah.
Yeah, he can't make it through the hallway, and it's like, it's just not a case where there's a bunch of solo queues. Go back and get Kareev.
Yeah.
Like, stop everything else you're doing.
Come on, guys. Dude, I can't make it through. Who's sniping at this point? Is it,
SBB. Oh, wait.
SBB.
Excelsior?
Yeah, I'm trying to...
SBB.
Yeah, he's sniping, and he's getting a ton of picks, and I'm just like, dude, if he gets stuck here, he's never making it across this, because SVB's got his sight lines focused on that archway there.
Yeah, and SVB's actually doing the same thing, because Agilities does hop on, he is on Genji at some point, and it's the same case from the previous game, like you talked about how Mistakes is jumping back and forth. this SBB's doing the same thing and maintaining that sight line because he knows Kareev's outside that door. And the moment that they're able to break him through, we're now at 2 minutes. So you burn half your time with your Zenyatta, which you need, sitting outside the door. That's poor communication because all they had to do was group up and start back at the front.
Yeah, maybe Kareev said, "Hey guys, go on without me. I'm tired of you guys got this, or you don't got this, but I'm tired of dying, so I'm going to sit back here."
Yeah, so NYXO gets a full hold because of this, which they're pretty much given the full hold. There's not that many kills. It's like the kill feed's even weak because there's not that many fights happening. Yeah. And then, one ticks are super easy. So on attack, they get it. They fight one fight. And then they just cap it, and that's it. The game's over. I guess another 3-0, and even the crowd goes silent again because it's a weird thing to watch.
I don't think New York will ever be full held like this because they are so much better at adjusting to these strategies. And where LA and or both the LA teams, they just are so stubborn, man. Tracer is not good against this comp. Everybody tries it. You can't contest anybody until you have taken the point, and by that point, it's just way too late.
So, do you think? Okay, let's get into. Let's go a little more on the team composition as far as the players are concerned. And one thing I'm kind of concerned, I think, is, we think about Los Angeles Gladiators, and kind of your main guy would be Surefour. I would say, like, he's the guy who's kind of calling and getting people in line. But we saw that he was the only one really producing in that match. Do you think that played into the communication, where the team was at as far as mentally, as far as adjusting? Do you think when people play NYXO, do you think they just get overwhelmed by how much camaraderie they have and just how much like respect they have for SBB and like what needs to be done? And does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they just get bogged down because they. And I was going to bring this up later on when they play Boston, but NYXL still wins fights after the fact that if they've lost somebody else, if they've lost one or two people, because they have so much communication, so much camaraderie, and if you've noticed these guys after a match, dude, they're all talking about that match. They're all very positive looking, minus, of course, Joe Nack, who I don't think they even speak to.
He's probably not a real person. He's probably a robot.
No, it's a damn robot sitting there. Seriously, if you look at all those guys, they're all talking after the match, and they're probably talking about, even if they win, they're probably talking about what they could have done better or what they're going to do on this next part. They look like they're all on the same page the entire time, minus Joe Nack. But you don't need Joe Nack. You just need Joe Nack to do whatever he does
the silent
to be
killer.
Successful.
Yeah, what's funny is you mentioned that, and now I'm thinking about, like, you'll see when they show their cameras, and say if SBB dies, SBB's still talking and looking at Mono's camera, or looking at his screen, and like he's still doing comms while he's dead, and that's something that you don't see happen with every other team.
I bet he is the most vocal player, especially a DPS player, dude.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often. You see it a lot of the main thing, but he is vocal not only during the game, after the game. That's got to be one of their big attributes for winning so much.
And I think that same thing happened to Valiant here, where Custa is the newer guy, but now he's the voice of that team. And with him constantly dead and constantly having a struggle because they're focusing him, they know how good he is. I think that probably played into the communications as well. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that might adjust as these teams get more comfortable, because there has been a lot of swaps and switches. So, but yeah, boss NYXL 3-0's it.
Quick 3-0.
All right, stop. All right, let's bring it home.
All right.
So I can go drink some tea or some shit. Put some money in it. We can take a nap.
A nap? You're not gonna go to bed? Isn't it late?
Well, I've taken a nap today, so.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm probably gonna go watch the Cavaliers fucking end us.
Who is us? Who you?
Raptors.
You a fan of?
Toronto.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I forget that we're in the playoffs, aren't
we? Yeah. Cavaliers they're 3-0 in the series. They're just, man, the games have been rough. They're our kryptonite. This is the third year in a row they're knocking us out of the playoffs.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, we just can't. LeBron's too damn good, man.
He's a hell of a ball player, I'm sure. This was the year I was supposed to get into watching more of the NBA because I still listen to NBA podcasts because you remember Cedric Phillips?
Oh, yeah.
He does a bunch of them, and I just love Cedric Phillips, so I listen to those. So
okay.
He doesn't do them very often. He does more Magic stuff and like personal life stuff, but he'll do like one every once in a while. And that was going to be my reason to get into it.
I didn't watch much this year. Like this is what's great about Overwatch League now is that it fills my not football time.
Yeah.
But yeah, basketball during like last half of season is usually when you watch like playoffs because there's so many damn games.
I was gonna say it's kind of like baseball too, right? There's just like a ton of games.
Yeah, like baseball is fun to watch at the very beginning, the very end. The middle is crap though.
Oh, really?
Teams don't care. Yeah, teams don't care in the middle.
Yeah, you're playing 100 games a fucking year. It's insane. All right, you just let me know when you're ready.
All right, it's all you, man.
All right, so we get into the final match, so the playoff finals, where we see NYXL battle out against Boston. Man, going into this, Ryan, did you have a favorite? Did you have someone that you wanted to win?
I thought it was going to be an upset. I honestly,
you think so? Against NYXL?
Okay, are you saying going into this day or going into this match?
Going into this match.
Okay, going into this match, no. I was like, the whole day I was like, okay, Boston is just coming in hot. They have to just take this one by storm. But then watching what NYXL did to Valiant, who has been playing well, I was like, oh no, I hope Boston doesn't fall into the same trap. Because
and we saw,
like we were saying, I think it's getting outside of, because the skill is there. That's the thing is like, all these teams have the players with the right amount of skill to beat NYXL. But outside of the game, that team is just so tight. Yeah. And they understand each other so well that it's beyond that's what teams are reaching for now is that. Yeah. And what NYXL showed last match, I was like, this is dangerous. But I still thought Boston had the mechanics. They had what they needed to do it. I just didn't not like this, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And we did see Boston beat NYXL earlier in the stage.
Yeah,
so
that was your one
kind
loss.
of going back to that, yeah. But as we had mentioned before, and I had mentioned before, NYXL comes into these playoffs looking like a different team. Maybe they hold back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't pull off strategies they want to use in the playoffs. I guess we'll see further on, especially in the actual playoffs, what teams do to change up their compositions, their strategies, stuff like that. But NYXL looks like just a different team. They're very dominant throughout the stage, but they even more so going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
look insane. Just all on one page. Where maybe during the stage they can kind of take it easy, man. They're going to make the playoffs regardless. They can try different things. But yeah, let's get into it. Route 66, first map they started off on.
Good map.
NY, yeah, I do like this map a lot. What is it, Rawhide? We brought it up
Rawhide.
Yeah, and they make the sound effect. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So NY, we get to see Pine on this one. NY jammed through one pretty quickly.
Yeah,
they're halted for a little bit on two because Boston is willing to switch over to the Orisa. I think they go Orisa Hog or Orisa Diva, one of the two, because that's what NY is playing. And the two LA teams not willing to adjust. We see Boston adjust because we traditionally know Boston has this dive comp team. They kind of do one thing. They do one thing really well, but they do switch to the Orisa. They stop NY for a little bit. But dude, when NY gets a pick or when SBB is able to just start picking up steam.
Yeah.
What's the saying? Give him an inch, he takes a mile or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, he pops off this entire stage. Just insane how many kills he gets on his own. They get one pick. NYXL capitalizes. They get into three. Get mostly through three. Yeah, so they don't quite get the whole way, but then we switch it over to the Boston offense. And I don't know if you noticed this, but Pine puts himself in these weird spots as Widow where you'd like, that's where a McCree is supposed to be standing or someone else. You wouldn't normally see a Widow do this because traditionally you get these Widows in these kind of the normal spots, right? You know where to kind of look for Widows. Yeah. But New York, man, willing to adapt, willing to change, willing to bring new strategies to these big games. He puts himself in odd spots, even though he does this mistakes, kind of does win the Widow battles for the most part.
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
But Pines, it's funny you mentioned that. One move you see a lot of Widows do is where they pop themselves up in the air to try to get a quick shot off.
Yep.
He doesn't really do that much, and he'll put himself on the lower ground as well to try to get certain shots, like a shot up instead of. And it is weird now that you mention it, and different. And I think, him being Pine as well definitely plays into it because if you give him the clear shot, he's going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he just has that accuracy. So, yeah, I can see him playing into his both his persona and his style.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to see because when they'll pan over to him, you're like, you're on the wrong screen because that person's not supposed to be right there. Why is this Widow in their spawn?
Exactly.
It seems messed up. But yeah, so Boston still looking strong here after their match with Los Angeles, just not able to push it all the way.
No.
They had about the same amount of time going into the last point, but just not able to capitalize. SBB does a great job just being a pest the entire point 3 against Boston.
Yeah, this is another one of those cases where I talked about, when NYXO gets to attack first, their defense follow-up is usually their strongest.
Yeah. They do a good job just holding that point 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, New York take the first one. Boston's still in this, so we're going to Ilios, and we see a little bit of a change-up. And like we had mentioned before, New York willing to try some.
Wait, was it Ilios or Nepal? I think it's Nepal.
Nepal. You're right.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, because there's snow on this. Yeah. Snow on this map. Yeah. But yeah, we're willing to see some change from New York, and they try to run in a Bastion.
Yeah.
Not real successful with it, but it's cool to see that they are willing to change up different strategies from the norm. We see Bastion in the past on this map, but haven't seen it in a little while. They try to turtle up on the corner of the point there for a little bit. Not a lot of success. Boston is able to take the point real early.
They handle it really well too. Boston handles this situation really well because they do get the pick on Jonak immediately, who's playing Ana, which kind of you think it would break down, but New York is really solid, so they get to that corner, and then the way it's almost like about a minute encounter where you see Note and the tanks in Gamsu essentially moving, rotating around so that Liberal can't get a decent shot, and then they are able to collapse on that corner. It's real cool to watch, real coordinated from both teams.
Oh, you're exactly right. They know he wants to set up there, and they just never let him get into a great spot. Boston does get it to 99, man. What happens at this point, though? I guess they're like, all right, SVB, they got it to 99. You need to kill everyone on the team. And I think he does that multiple times in a row because they get the point back and they win map 1. Dude, it was crazy. And, so they get map 1, go into Sanctum. Dude, SBB on the Widow, I knew he was good. I didn't think he was this good. He was killing it on the Widow on this one against mistakes.
His best Widow, man.
Yeah, no joke, dude. He was killing it. We do see some back and forth with the Junkrats where one's tiring the other one's tiring the last guy. And I think this one goes to 99 as well. But, dude, SBB is just free reign on that bridge over there. It's like
dude, that pick he had on that read he had on mistakes. When they're both firing. So they're both sitting in, for the listeners, they're both sitting in opposite corners of Sanctum, essentially shooting at the point where both Orissa's shields are set up. And then SBB finally commits to going and looking for mistakes. Can't get him on the front, goes to the back, waits for him to pull out, and then just picks him off and then handles everybody else. It's just, it's taking the initiative and then pulling it off is what NYXO does. And like you said, both times they get 99 and they're not able to close it out. And that's something that my team is constantly doing is not being able to. You gotta be able to close, man. You gotta be able to close, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mistakes
That's
a little
what they
silent on
say
these
about
two maps
deals,
too.
man. Gotta close.
Yeah, gotta close. Yep. It seemed like Mistakes a little silent on this. Striker doing a great job on the Junkrat, but man, when you're competing against SBB on the Widow, especially this map, dude, it was insane to see how good he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was quick 2-0 from New York there on the control map. So we get into Volskaya, which,
control.
yeah, they are very good at control. And so we get into Volskaya. We know Boston is great at Volskaya. This is kind of their map. And generally we start on Volskaya, right? Either Volskaya or Temple of Anubis in a regular stage. And dude, SBB, this 4K at the beginning of his offense is insane. And like I had mentioned before, if you give him any kind of leeway, any kind of time to set up and get behind anybody and get the picks, dude, he'll take everybody out, man. Because he did. He got a 4K.
He's an escalator. That's what it is. That's so like, okay, so like in situations where like somebody may bump into you or something like that, and you have those type of people who just take that opportunity to pop off and just get in a fight or whatever. They just escalate situations. That's what SBB does. Is like he picks his moments, and the moment you give him a little bit, he just escalates, and then he gets a 3K, and it's abusive, and then he just kind of cools down again and does his thing. It's like these spikes in a performance that he has where he's already performing at a high level, but he goes like Super Saiyan for like, a couple kills and then calms back down.
You're exactly right.
Crazy to watch.
Yeah, especially in comparison to Striker, who also is another great tracer trait. He is a little bit more consistent. It's like he's getting picks every once in a while, getting behind the team.
Could you imagine if Boston was able to like pick up Carpe and they had Carpe and Striker?
Oh, it'd be insane.
That would be nuts.
Yeah,
literally, they complement like their character pools complement each other, their styles complement each other. That would be a crazy duo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's a pipe dream because it'll never happen. They're both worth 150,000. It's not happening.
I was gonna say Philly's probably paying a big dollar bill for old Carpe. Yeah. But yeah, so we get into point 2 pretty quickly, where Libero switches over to Sombra. And I don't know if you saw this, but he solo hacks Mistakes at point who has the blade. And it's so funny if you ever see a Genji hacked. They look like they're flailing in water. Yeah, well, they can't do anything. They can't wall climb. They can't do anything now. Yeah. So he's just sitting there like, oh, shit, I can't do anything.
Those ninja stars.
Yeah. So New York does get point 2 with about 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Not too shabby going into Volskaya, where sometimes we see these things never finished out. So Boston comes on the offensive pretty quick. Point 1 and 2. It's kind of crazy because you don't see a lot of Widow on point 2, just because it's so hard to get in there and be a presence on the force. But Mistakes sticks to the Widow, and he gets a ton of picks on point 2, tying it up about the same amount of time.
Yeah. Boston playing well, man. That's one thing we want. That's one thing we want to say is that throughout this whole night, nobody's really playing poorly. NYXL is just real good. Like it's in Boston, like they're playing up to the level they need to play at. It's just that there's that little bit more they need to increase and get better at to be able to compete here.
Absolutely.
Because right now, NYXL is looking like a team that you can put, if you pick anybody in the standings and put them next to them, like London Spitfire's not touching them, Seoul's not touching them, nobody's touching them because they have that little bit of, that little dash of Chemical X, that little special something.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say they look like a well-formed team that just is always on point and always
and growing,
doing what they need to. Yeah, absolutely,
which
growing.
is scary.
Yeah, they're only getting better. Holy shit. Can't imagine, especially going into the playoffs. Holy shit. Yeah. But yeah, so both teams end up getting point 1 again because we have all these big time banks. 4 minutes left. Neither team is able to take point 2. It's kind of the business of Volskaya.
That Libero snipe though was surgical, man.
Yeah,
he gets 3 headshots to kind of delay
at the very beginning of
one.
I
thought that was. I was like, this is it. That's a nail in the coffin.
Yeah,
but they fight through it. So Props to BU for stringing it out. But that must be, this reminds me. I know we're taking a lot of tangents here, but this reminds me like when you're on ladder, right? And you're having those rough days of where like you get a loss, and you get a draw, and you get another loss, and you get a draw, and then you get another loss.
Miserable.
It's like you can't get a win.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it feels miserable. Because it feels like a draw does nothing for you. And they even bring this up. It feels like a win for New York because, as I mentioned, this is Boston's map. They have a huge win percentage on this map, and they do really well every time they play on this one. So it feels like a win for NYXL. Where traditionally, this is still a fine map for NYXL. What map isn't great for this team? But it's exceptionally great for Boston. And when they draw it out on this one and have to take it to Nubani for a third map, and these are best of 5 series. That's we didn't bring that up, but obviously with the first 3-0s, it didn't actually even matter. But yeah, so they take it to Nubani, where Pine is out of place the whole time, just in these weird fucking spots. Pine, what are you doing over there, buddy? But he's still getting picks. Gets picks all the way through 1 and 2. Boston able to hold it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Like Pine's my inspiration for how I play Soldier. So I always get shit because I actually prefer playing Soldier from a low ground. I do better and aim better, aiming upwards for some reason. So I don't know. Like watching him play, where these things where like he'll fight widows, but he'll make sure I have the low ground and stuff like that. It's just one of those things again where it's like Striker's Tracer, right? Like those different styles of play of those characters where you kind of have a set template of how you're supposed to play them is always inspirational, and what kind of makes this game cool and relatable from people who do play outside of the norm, right? But I try to stay off of DPS, so I try to make tank supports, man. That's my goal.
I think I'm done with it too, man. I'm getting too old.
You're tank. Are you tank main now? Or is that official?
I'm a Brigitte main at this point.
That's disgusting. You should have said that. This is being recorded and sent to millions of ears around America.
I'm telling you, when you look at your stats and you're like, oh shit, dude, I'm number 1 in damage. I'm number 1 in heals. The best of all the worlds, man. It's crazy.
Oh,
it's
how
crazy
the mighty have fallen.
I know. It was crazy because I was a Reinhardt main for a long time. Kind of a Reinhardt. I was a Roadhog main for a little while as well. So it kind of feels the same because their chain's kind of the same way. But we'll get back. We'll get back into the. No, you're good.
Yeah.
I do love Brigitte. But yeah, so we're at 1.3. Boston is able to slow New York down quite a bit. Like I said, Pine is putting himself in their spawn. He's putting themselves on the high bushes on Nubani on 0.3. They do take it to overtime, so there is a chance for Boston to turn it around here. But what is so scary about New York, especially versus Boston, when Boston gets on the offensive, Boston dives them, and New York doesn't give a shit. How scary is that if you are a primary dive comp team and you dive someone, they're like, nah, we don't care. You come, bring it in. We'll bring it. We'll kill you before you even get to us. Yeah. And that's what they do over and over. Boston does take 1 and 2, just never able to get through the entire map, like New York.
And the one thing I noticed, I think this map and Volskaya, was that Note's bombs, I think he was average, like he got 2K bombs for the remainder of these matches. But it's just a case, like, you take 2 of them out and they don't stop. That doesn't really deter them. And, what this ended up coming down to was that spawn advantage that we know that Nubani has, is that it's almost like Anubis, but not as bad. Yeah. Because it's more open than Anubis is, and there's not as much, corridors and pillars and all that stuff in the way. So it's easier to kind of, let that go. But it still is a spawn advantage where you really have to win that fight in order to push it through that last bit. And I mean, the cart was like 3/4 on the point to cap. And it's just crazy they wouldn't let it happen, because when New York XL has to defend second, it's a defense that you can't top right now.
Yeah, they're just one of those teams that even if most teams you lose 1 or 2 people, you feel like that fight is over. Like that's just a wipe. New York still keeps battling, and they still keep getting picks, which is really difficult to do. Really difficult to do.
So you're champs. Again, another 100,000.
Yeah, dude. What do you do with the second 100,000? That's too many thousands of dollars at this point. Jeez. I know they had a video at one point where they go down to Beverly Hills and they shop, which is kind of cool.
That's
New York
what's up.
blowing a bunch of money on clothes and stuff like that. So maybe we get another one of those videos.
I gotta watch some of their videos. I haven't really been following there.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, they're cool.
Okay.
But props to Boston, man, making it all the way.
Oh, yeah.
And it's brought up all the time. Boston is one of those teams that at the beginning of the season, a lot of people didn't know who these guys were. And especially big props to the fact that they lost one of their main DPS players halfway through the stage, and someone had to pick up the slack. And Mistakes,
He's
Doing a great job doing it. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of talk right now about how good Mistakes is, even that good, blah blah blah. And I think one thing to keep in mind is his situation, what happened. That's a big play in someone's character and someone's ability to step up to the plate. Because not everybody can do that. And with that character pool, with the situation, they went undefeated this stage. That's still impressive. And they were an underdog team that now shot up. Like overall, they're number 2. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The way the season started off, like it's the 3 Korean teams and them at the top 4.
Yeah, that is crazy. I was going to ask you, so obviously we got New York as a winner. Do you have any predictions going into Stage 4?
Yeah,
Anybody
Houston Outlaws are going to take it all.
All right. Well,
If I was a madman, and I could be because I'm coming down with what feels like cholera, I could be losing my mind. But no. Next stage, I think it mimics this. I don't know about Gladiators. I think Gladiators are kind of on the down slope for some reason.
you think so?
Yeah, I don't know if they got comfortable or if they've peaked. But every other team has been progressing as well. I feel like Philadelphia Fusion's doing the same thing where they're kind of on the downturn. And Shock is in a weird place where they're kind of. So I feel like the progress, that boost we had in stage 2 and 3 of these teams growing, is slowing down. And besides NYXL, you have London Spitfire. They're like on the downturn. Or downslope, and then you have Seoul. They're kind of on the downslope as well. They're going through some changes. Valiant probably is still in a good place, but I think Boston stays. I think they do just as well as they did here.
Yep.
I don't think they go through the. Loss pains that Fusion went through, because Fusion took a lot of big losses, and you can tell it affected them. I don't think Boston will let that happen. So I don't know. What do you think?
Man, if I had to pick 4 going into the playoffs, this next one, I want to see Shock in there. One of the teams that haven't made it. I also think Seoul. Man, I want Seoul to make it as well. Those are 2 teams that obviously New York is going to make it to the playoffs. I don't give a shit what anybody says. The end of stage playoffs, they'll definitely make it. They're just way too good. They work so well as a team. I don't know. Those 2 teams I would like to see get up there. I think Shock, especially looking at them in the last week of Stage 3, they looked great. We'll see how Dante and Sinatra work out as far as which one they have in. I don't know. LA teams still very good. I just don't think they are on the same level as Boston and New York. And then New York just being on a different level than everyone else.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think New York wins this next one. I think what happens is they get snuck. I think they get sucker punched in the semis somehow. You
think so?
Yeah, I have a feeling they get an upset in the semis, and then whoever beats them loses.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I'm going for something crazy. I'm going for a deep cut. I'm not betting money on it, so that's why I'm taking this risk.
Well, we don't see anybody coming in because the trade and signing
is over.
Term is over. Yeah, so these are the teams you're working with. It's just who progresses. I think you're exactly right. Philly they peaked in 2. We'll see Carpe coming back. They've got a lot to work on. I don't know. Maybe the Korean teams like London and Seoul, this might be their chance to bring it back up, because obviously in stage 1 they were those 3 teams, including and also the Outlaws. Maybe this is the Outlaws.
Yeah, we're making a turnaround kind of. Jake still being a meme though. I'll never forget that tour. But it's one of those cases where, and I'm gonna make a disclaimer because I thought about some of our earlier episodes. This is gonna happen, right? Naturally, we're constantly talking about the games. But I used to talk about Stryker not being able to kind of like step up and kind of having down days and stuff. And to see this guy pretty much prove me damn wrong. Ever since my stage one, what I used to say about him stage one, about him being able to step up to the plate, that guy is ridiculous. And definitely the MVP talks are worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, his confidence level looks really high, too.
Yeah.
Especially on the Tracer, man, dude. Insane. So, yeah. Boston's still going to be good. New York's still going to be good. LA team's going to be... We'll see how the LA teams go.
Everybody's still going to be solid. We're still going to have some good Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so since this is our second portion, did you have anything else?
I was going to say, I'm good to wrap it up.
Oh, yeah. So, you guys can always reach us at the birdwatcherspodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at the Bird Watchers. Watchers is spelled WATCH3RS. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Bird Watchers, and then Reddit and Instagram at the Bird Watchers Podcast. Feel free to send us anything, man. If you want to send us some memes, gifs, whatever, questions, comments.
Memes.
Oh, who doesn't, man? It's the future and the present.
Yeah, just pictures with little type lines on them.
Yeah,
that's great.
I wonder if it's gonna get to the point to like when we're old, and in our like 60s, and we're talking about the memes from when we were young versus all these these
Maybe they'll recycle them.
Memes, like bring them back.
Yeah.
Like you remember like I love the 80s, I love the 90s, those shows like that. So you remember those memes from like 2020?
Oh, that's great.
It was lit.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
What's up?
Lizard King, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
For the editing and the songs. Also, like us on iTunes, leave a comment and rate us.
Do.
That brings us higher up in the feed. So if anybody's searching for Overwatch League or Overwatch, they find us.
Yeah, there's a lot of us out there, man. I'm happy to see all the other casters out there, giving good content, taking different approaches. Like if you're somebody who's trying to get into it, which I've seen this happen on the Overwatch Reddit, competitive Reddit, where you have newer people coming in there and they're saying, hey, I'm new, I'm looking for an avenue to kind of get into it. And it's cool to have a lot of resources there, considering this is the first season of the league, man. And you can get all the info, you can know everything about everybody if you want. It's all at your fingertips. So even check those ones out as well, man.
Yeah, it's sweet.
All right. As always, thanks for listening.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.
I have destroyed more of your kind than I can count.
You weren't given those guns to toss them around like trash.
I don't take lessons from you.
Try not to get us killed out there.
I heard there's a nice reward for bringing you fellas in.
Maybe we could work something out, mate.